What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Derby Wormy, and on this channel, I've been talking about a lot of video game news. I've been talking a lot about Warhammer 40k news, some pop culture news, but news that I really do like to talk about on this channel is when it comes to localization issues. Because for those of you who can't really figure out from all my anime memorabilia back here and my Gunpla, my Nintendo, and the fact that I really like anime, when it comes to localization issues, I actually have a lot to talk about, and I actually know this subject quite well. But for the past decades, let's just say, we've been having an ongoing battle with localizers, whether it's from Capcom, whether it's from Western localizers inserting political agenda within anime, whether it's them inserting political agenda within manga, or freaking out over other issues across the board. The Western localizers are the true problem when it comes to any form of Japanese media, any form of Japanese culture, whatnot. They are a major issue, okay? They're a super big issue. They love to get into these little hobbies, okay? Just like within 40k, just like within everything, they like to get into these areas and start manipulating it, start playing it out, start pushing their own ideology, their own agenda. And when I showed you right here, we're starting to see some even Japanese-based companies starting to pull the whole Western localization, Western lines, and pushing DEI, pushing social justice, pushing these identity politic-based thought processes all throughout their properties, throughout their companies, throughout different branches of their companies, and they think that it's the right move to do. But we're starting to see this happen more and more. So it's a breath of fresh air when you start seeing people like this come out and speak out against it. Naruto and Bleach anime studio president rejects idea that anime should conform to Western standards. If you make animation with that in mind, it will become increasingly boring. And that's a big takeaway here. Even he realizes that when you start taking away the soul of what an anime is, when you start taking away what makes anime, you make it boring. You make it just another cartoon. It's no longer as fun as it once was. It's no longer as enjoyable as it could be, because you're taking away one of the soul aspects of what makes an anime. Anime is the fact that it's from an Eastern form of storytelling, is the fact that it has this Eastern style within it that you don't really get here in America. You don't get things like this often here in America. And when we come back here to the actual story, the president of this anime studio, this isn't the first guy who's been coming out here and saying this. We've had myriad of individuals, but he's a guy who's been coming out and saying it again because this has been an issue that has sparked up again recently. And he's parroting similar points that individuals like the Vision of Mana producer has said, individuals like the Final Fantasy Tactics director has said. And by the way, when the Final Fantasy Tactics director came out and said something, it was discussed around the discourse of Unicorn Overlord, which I know nothing about. I didn't talk about this one because I know nothing about Unicorn Overlord, but it is a serious situation that's been going on, whether it's dubs being changed, whether it's subtitles being changed, whether again it's JRPGs being changed. These are serious things that are going on, and it's nice to see people that are actually within the industry over in Japan coming out and saying something about it. But when you get into this guy's overall points, they get even more interesting, because you come down here, eventually turning to reflect on how popular the aforementioned Naruto trilogy has been with overseas viewers. At current, roughly 30% of Studio PR's video sales come from overseas audiences, with a trio of series and their related films being by far the best sellers. The studio boss asserted, "I'm endlessly grateful to have had the opportunity to meet and produce a great work that will become a long-term series that will last for years. However, it is difficult to make a work that will be popular overseas or that will become a long-term series." To this end, Hanma explained, "Of course, you can aim for the top half, but if you make animation with that in mind, it becomes increasingly boring. We don't make characters smoke in order to take some series overseas," he continued. "We have to make the violence a little less violent and avoid sexy expressions. If Japanese animation is bound by such restrictions of expression, there is no way that people overseas will want to watch it." Drawing his thoughts to a close, Hanma ultimately affirmed, Works that are a hit in Japan are also a hit overseas. I believe that we must not make the mistake of approaching anime production in the wrong way. Nothing he said there was wrong. Nothing he said was wrong. What made all these properties very interesting here in America to begin with was the fact that it was Japanese, was the fact that it was different. You had the Japanese tropes, for example, they can't, they have different tropes, different things. A sexy girl walks by and a guy's nosebleed. Okay, that's a simple trope. There's reasons behind it, there's justification for it, but you only see that in Japanese culture. You only see that in anime. That's a specific anime style thing that is very much anime. And what he's saying here is, listen, one of the things that made these so popular, even over in the States, overseas, wherever, was the fact that it was us that made it. It was the fact that we designed it. It was the fact that we put our soul into it. We put our culture into it. And that is what becomes appealing to people of other countries, people overseas, people that aren't a part of this culture. They get a peek into what our culture is more like, what our ideas are like, what our style of storytelling is like, what some of our tropes are, and how we design characters, how we make characters look. This is an important things that anime fans really like. Anime fans like anime because of the anime, because it's Japanese, because it's something different that we don't get over here in the States. And when you start seeing localizers trying to push in the Western values, push in the Western ideology, push in Western political talking points, that takes away from what anime truly is. Anime is a Japanese form of storytelling. Anime is beautiful, it is wonderful, it is so fun to just be a part of. And what we're seeing now is a bunch of people that like to preach about how you should not culturally appropriate, and you should let these cultures stand the way they are and don't criticize them because of that culture and whatever culture. We're seeing that they want to get into this culture to try to manipulate it, to try to change it, and to try to make it bend to their will. I have an example right here. This comes from Niche Gamer. This is 8+ years of awful politicized English localization in games and anime. This is 8+ years worth of information. This is 8+ years worth of different examples. Some of them benign, some of them really messed up, some of them heavily politicized. But this is all examples of Westerners going into these properties and changing it up for their own sensibilities, changing it up for their own ideology, and sometimes just changing it up to make it worse. Let's be real fair here. Sometimes they really do get in there and make something extremely bad because they're not good at what their jobs are. These are the issues people are calling out. These are the things people are talking about. When you get a president of a studio coming out here and saying, what made these popular to begin with was the fact that we made it, was the fact that this was our storytelling, and was the fact that it was popular here in Japan, which means it will be popular to the fans overseas. That's something nice to see, and that's something that actually carries weight in a lot of these industries. I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me get your guys' thoughts on all this down in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it out, friends. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell for every time I put out a new video. Go live, guys, and I'll see you all on the next one. Bye for now.